This is continuing coverage and the trial of Richard Merritt from the Hidden Killers podcast on the True Crime Today network.
Sorry, Judge. Investigator Nelson, I'm showing you what's been marked State's Exhibit A. Sorry, evidence. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes, sir. This is a copy of the CAD call.
Okay. And was there a 911 call made on February 1st of 2019?
Yes, sir.
What was the call for?
It was a welfare check.
Okay. What time was the call made?
The initial call came in at 16 hours, 5:16 p.m.
Okay. And at what time did you respond to the residence?
I was assigned the call at 5:22 p.m.
Okay. And what time did you get there?
5:39 p.m.
Okay. And can you just give the address of the welfare check?
1590 Planters Row.
Okay. When you got to the residence, what did you do?
When I first arrived, I walked up to the front door, rang the doorbell, knocked on the door.
Okay. Was the door locked?
Yes, sir.
All right. And at this point, I'm showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit 5. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes, sir.
What is this?
That is Miss Merritt's residence.
Okay. Is that address in DeKalb County?
Yes, sir.
Now, so you went to the front door first?
Yes, sir.
Did anybody come to the front door?
No, sir.
What did you do after that?
After nobody came to the front door, I walked around the house to check for any forced entry, open doors, or open windows.
Okay. And did you come across any doors that were open?
No, sir.
Did you check and see if all the doors were locked?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did it appear as though any windows had been broken?
No, sir.
All right. Investigator Nelson, I'll show you what's marked as State's Exhibit 11, State's Exhibit 78. You recognize those?
Yes, sir.
What are those photos of?
The back of the residence.
Okay. And are they fair and accurate? 11 and 78.
Any objection? Admitted.
All right, so we're looking at stage 5 here. I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 6, which is already in evidence. Do you recognize this?
Yes, sir.
What is this here?
That was one of the back doors on the back of the residence.
Okay. Did you check this door?
Yes, sir.
Was it locked?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State's Exhibit 11, what is this here?
Another back door on the back of the residence. The residence.
Do you see a door there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was the door locked?
Yes, sir.
And State's Exhibit 78, what is this here?
2 more back doors on the back.
And did you check those doors as well?
Yes, sir.
And they were locked?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, other than checking the doors, did you do anything else?
After I checked the residence and everything was secure, I called my supervisor
Okay.
and had him come out to double check the house with me.
Okay. Did you also look into the house?
Yes, sir.
What did you see inside?
Normal living conditions. There wasn't anything that appeared to really be out of place. In the first door that you showed me, I did see a purse.
You saw a purse?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where was the purse?
It was sitting on a table kind of like this one. It looked like it was like a laundry room type area.
Let's go back to the CAD real quick. So, looking at the CAD, you got there at what time?
5:39.
Okay. And is that in the afternoon?
Yes, sir.
What time did your supervisor get there?
7:27 p.m.
Now, did you and your supervisor only check on the house, or did you look down the street, anything like that?
I spoke to some neighbors while I was waiting for my supervisor to arrive.
Okay. Was there any evidence that you had uncovered that there was any disturbance that had happened?
Not that I saw, no.
Looking at the cat here, how long were you on scene at the house?
A couple hours. I arrived at 5:39 p.m. My supervisor at 7:27 p.m. And it looks like we completed the call at 8:12 p.m.
Okay. Now, if you had, what would you have had to have seen inside and, to have gone into the house?
We would have had to have heard something, or somebody in there calling out for help would have been something. If I would have saw blood, if the house would have been in like a disarray, like it looked like there was a fight or something that happened prior to our arrival.
Okay. But again, you didn't see any of that?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, at some point, you left.
Yes, sir.
Was there a call made the next day? Looking at the data?
Yes, sir. February 2nd.
Okay. What time was the call made that day?
9:28 a.m.
Okay. And did officers respond that day as well?
Yes, sir.
Right. And according to the CAD, what time did the officers get on scene?
The first officer arrived at 9:31 a.m. Or excuse me, he arrived at 9:43 a.m. I'm sorry. He showed me.
Now, you mentioned the doors. What about the garage door?
The garage door was closed.
It was closed?
When I arrived, yes.
Okay. And you said you spoke with the neighbors?
Yes, sir.
Based on your discussions with the neighbors, did it appear as though that they had heard a disturbance?
They hadn't heard anything, no.
And did you see any vehicles in the driveway?
There was one car.
You know what kind of car it was?
I don't recall what kind of car it was. It was dark in color. I remember that.
Dark in color?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have there. Thank you.
Cross.
Just briefing officer,
Yes.
what shift are we working on the first?
Evening watch. That's 2:30. Yes, sir. 2:30. I'm sorry. 2:30 p.m. to 1200 hours, 12 midnight.
2:30 midnight. And the next day, what shift we working? We work the next day?
Yes, I worked the next day. It was the same shift, 2:30 to midnight. Yes, sir.
So, because the next day, were you involved in this case at all?
On the next day when she was found, I was.
Second.
On the second, no, sir.
You know, Officer Merritt's been on the scene. At that point in time, by the time you got on duty, this was no longer a case involving, I guess, regular patrol officers.
It appears on the second they completed the call at 3:44 p.m., which would have been after my shift started.
But you wouldn't have called to the scene because by that time, other officers would have handled it.
Correct, not on the second.
And did you do a report in conjunction with this case?
No, sir. I did not do a report.
And just for the jury's education, why did you not do a report?
Typically on welfare checks, we didn't complete reports. We would add notes to the call, which is what we did that night. Officers have the ability to add their own call notes to the CAD from their cars, and that's what we did that night.
Okay. Did you note the car in the cab?
It appears that I ran the tag number for the car that was in the vehicle, but it doesn't give what kind of car, the make or model of the vehicle that was.
Because as you know, you ran the tag, but you didn't make a note as to whether, I guess, the car was a particular make or model, correct?
Correct.
And I'm assuming you ran the tag, and if the car had been stolen, you would have noted that, correct?
Correct.
If the car had been something which had been reported missing or anything, you would have noted that.
Yes, sir.
If there was like a photo or be on the lookout for this vehicle, you would have noted that.
Yes, sir.
Now let's go back to me. You went around the curve of your house, and you said the doors you approached appear to be locked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you looked through a window, and you noticed a purse
Yes, sir.
sitting on a table.
Yes, sir.
But there was nothing that seemed, I guess, extraordinary about that purse.
Correct.
It appears over it was like the purse was laying over somebody right through the purse, anything like that, correct?
Correct.
The garage. You mentioned the garage door was closed. Could you see into the garage in any form of fashion?
Yes, I could.
And what did you see inside the garage? Do you recall?
I don't recall.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Briefly, Judge. Investigator Nelson.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 9. Do you recognize this here?
Yes, sir.
Where's that photo of?
The house and then there's a vehicle to the left.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate depiction of what the driveway looked like with the vehicle?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Your Honor, at this time I would tender in State's 9.
Any objection?
I guess I'd like a little more foundation as to the vehicle. So y'all going to check.
What foundation?
There's a little more clarity as to because obviously the photo is not taking the time when she was there. Well, understand that. So I think
Can you see the
Mr.
tag?
James knows what I'm looking for.
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of what the driveway looked like when you got there on February 1st of 2019?
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
Same objection, Your Honor. You asked about the driveway. I think it was considered note maybe the vehicle in the driveway.
Your Honor, she described the driveway, and this is what the driveway looked like when she got there on February 1st of 2019. I think the foundation was laid for this photo to come in.
Mr. Queen, I don't know what other foundation is necessary. She's identified the photo. She says it's a fair and accurate representation of what it looked like when she arrived at the scene. She's already testified there was a vehicle in the driveway. She just doesn't recall what kind of vehicle.
I guess the only question is that the vehicle that she saw in the driveway?
That's not what he asked her. He just asked her, is that a fair and accurate representation of what it looked like when she arrived? She said yes, that's all that's required for foundation.
I will turn this in, Judge.
All right, I'll admit 9 over objection. Thank you.
Now, can you look at State's 9? Okay. Showing here, is this State's 9?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what kind of vehicle is that in the driveway?
Honda Accord.
What color is it?
Appears to be black.
Okay. Now, was this the same vehicle that you saw when you responded on Friday, February 1st?
I can't say that that's the exact.
Does it appear to be the same
Yeah,
vehicle?
it appears to
you saw?
be. Yes, sir.
Okay. I've never been part of this.
Anything further, this witness?
I got just a simple question. Is that the car or not? You know or don't?
I can't recall. I just dark and color vehicle. No, sir.
May the witness be excused?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Queen?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
The state calls Austin Burnett.
Yes. Austin Burnett, Austin Burnett.
How were you employed back in February of 2019?
In February of 2019, I was a crime scene investigator for DeKalb County Police Department.
What does a crime scene investigator do?
So as a crime scene investigator, my role was primarily to document crime scenes. We document through photography, video, sketching, and evidence collection.
Are you still with DeKalb County Police?
No, I'm not.
What do you do now?
Right now, I am a high school teacher, teach math.
All right. And when did you leave DeKalb County?
I left DeKalb County in September of 2019.
Did you leave on good terms?
Yes.
And how long did you work as a crime scene investigator?
Total, almost 5 years.
And did you have any kind of training that would allow you to be a crime scene investigator?
Yes.
Specifically, what kind of training did you receive?
Lots of training through the Georgia Public Safety Training Center. Basically, classes that pertain to crime scene investigation. For example, how to operate a camera. That class was called Basic Digital and Photo Imaging. Quite an extensive training in fingerprints. I have over 200 hours of training with fingerprint classes and a state certification along with that. And just classes that generally teach you how to collect, preserve evidence, document crime scenes, and so on.
And do you know about how many hours of training you received?
I believe over 350 hours total.
All right. When you are working as a crime scene investigator, specifically here in DeKalb County, how are you made aware of a crime that you need to respond to?
So typically we are made aware when we're on call, which this case was, we would get called by the dispatcher. The dispatcher would then tell us that a homicide detective has requested our presence, basically that a homicide scene or assault case has occurred. They then relay the detective's contact information to us, which we'll then contact the detective and get all of our information about the case.
Are you the first responder to the scene?
No.
Right. And do you work as a team?
Yes.
Right. Do you remember responding to 1590 Planters Row on February 2nd, 2019?
Yes.
Okay. About where is that located?
It is in, I can't remember exactly the city that it's located in. I believe in Tucker.
Is it in DeKalb County?
It is in DeKalb County, yes.
Looking at the photograph, State's Exhibit 5, do you recall that being the location that you responded to that day?
Yes, that is the one.
And do you recall what time you responded?
It was a little bit afternoon, I believe.
Right. And were there officers on the scene when you arrived?
Yes, there were.
All right. And was the scene secure?
Yes.
What does it mean to have a secure scene?
Secure scene basically means that there's a heavy presence in this case of basically law enforcement personnel that are ensuring that no outside personnel aside from law enforcement personnel, doing their duties, can go inside or outside the scene.
Are law enforcement officers who respond to scenes trained on how to handle evidence?
Yes.
Are they trained to not touch evidence when they find it?
Yes.
And when you responded, did you know anything about what the case was about?
When I responded, I got with the first responding officer to get all the case information. And the case, basically I got the information that a homicide had occurred. And can you just give a general description of what the scene consisted of? So when I arrived on the scene, basically saw this house at 1590 Planters Row, and it's just a large single-family dwelling, and it had 3 stories in total inside the house.
And was it in the middle of a street, on the end of a street?
It was in a cul-de-sac, I believe.
Okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 9, 10, and 11. State's Exhibits 9 and 11 are already in evidence, but I'm going to have you look at these. Could you describe what these 3 photographs are just generally?
State's Exhibit 9, 10, and 11 are overall exterior digital photographs of the outside residence of the home.
Did you take these photographs?
Yes, I did.
Do they fairly and accurately represent the exterior of that house when you arrived there on February 2nd?
Yes.
Okay, at this time I'd move to admit State's Exhibit 9.
Any objection? I think 9's already in.
I'm sorry, number 10 is the exhibit that I meant to tender.
Any objection to 10?
No,
Admitted.
When you responded to the crime scene, did you see any kind of signs of forced entry?
Not that I could tell, no.
Do you recall how many outside entrances there were to the home?
To the best of my recollection, I believe there were 5 entrances total to the home.
Did you inspect them all?
Yes.
Okay. And were officers going in and out of any particular entrance?
We were primarily using the garage to enter the home.
So when you got there, did you inspect all the other doors to determine whether they were locked?
Yes.
And were they?
To the best of my recollection, yes.
Okay. And what about the windows? Were there any broken windows?
There were not.
Okay. All right. Looking at State's Exhibit 9, there is a vehicle parked in the left, on the left-hand side of that photograph. Was that vehicle present when you responded to the scene?
Yes, it was.
Did you run the tag?
I did not, but I believe somebody else on the scene did.
All right. I'm just going to show the jury State's Exhibit 10 and State's Exhibit 11. Did you cross, I'm sorry, back to State's Exhibit 10. Were there any vehicles parked in the garage when you arrived there?
No.
Did you process the interior of the house as well?
Yes.
Can you just give a general description of it?
The general description of the inside of the home, it was very organized, immaculately clean, and quite a lot of rooms. The house was very large, lots of square footage, just basically lots of different rooms consisting of the home.
Did you or one of your teammates create a crime scene sketch?
The other crime scene investigator assisting me on the case created the sketch of the crime scene.
What is a crime scene sketch?
So a sketch basically consists of measurements that we collect basically from wall to wall, door to door, and we'll be able to recreate to scale what the basically the interior of the home looks like according to our measurements.
All right, I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 12 and 13. Can you please describe for the jury what these items are?
State's Exhibit 12 and 13 both consist of the crime scene sketches that my coworker created of the interior of the home.
And do they fairly and accurately represent the interior of the home?
Yes, they do.
I move to admit State's Exhibits 12 and 13.
Any objection?
No objection.
Admitted.
Mr. Burnett, I'm going to ask that you remove that.
Okay.
All right, this is State's Exhibit 12. What portion of the house is depicted here in State's Exhibit 12?
So this is the main floor to the residence.
Just be able to write on that now. Can you just put an X where the front door is located just to sort of orient the jury to what we're looking at?
The front door to the home is right here.
Oh, that is working. All right. And where is the garage?
The garage, entrance to the garage is right here.
Can you just draw a little bit larger so it's kind of hard to see? Or circle it maybe? Okay. And where is the garage door that a car would drive through?
The garage door would be right here. That would be where the car would drive into the garage.
And where is the kitchen area?
The kitchen is this whole area right here.
All right. And looking at this, we see the X on the bottom. Is that as if we're looking from the street?
Yes. Yeah, this would this is oriented as if we were looking at it from the driveway, from the street.
All right. And did you, in fact, take photographs of the interior of the house as well?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 14 through 45, as well as 86 and 87. And Investigator Burnett, did you have the opportunity to review these items prior to coming into court today?
Yes, I did.
If you could just flip through them and in general, tell the jury what they are.
So all of these photographs are basically depict the interior of the home. So just basically showing the general conditions that the home was found in as I arrived on the scene.
And do they fairly and accurately show what a home looked like on that day?
Yes.
I'm going to start with Exhibits 14 and Exhibit 15. Oh, I'm sorry. Your Honor, this time, I apologize. I need to admit State's Exhibits 14 through 45 and State's Exhibit 86 and 87.
Any objection?
No objection.
Admitted.
Sorry about that, I got a little ahead of myself. All right, you discussed the doors to the home, and I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 8. What are we looking at here? I'm sorry, State's Exhibit 14. What are we looking at here?
So this is the door jamb of basically the garage door.
And what about State's Exhibit 15? What is that?
And that is the correlating door jamb to the frame of that garage entrance.
Okay, and were there any signs of forced entry?
Not that I could tell, no.
Okay, and what about the other remaining doors? Did you check those doors for forced entry as well?
Yes, the other remaining doors did not appear to be forced open either.
And did they have deadbolts like what we see here on State's Exhibit 14?
From what I recall, yes.
And through what door did you gain entry into the house?
From the garage entrance.
Okay, is that what we're looking at State's Exhibit 14 and 15?
Yes.
And what is the area to the left of the stairs when you enter?
To the left of the stairs, I believe it is a laundry room.
All right, this is State's Exhibit 16. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, that doorway leads into the laundry room.
And looking again at State's Exhibit 12, where is that located when you look at this exhibit?
So I was positioned about right here when taking that picture. So there's still the area you can see about right here where there appeared to be like a desk, and then the entrance to the laundry room going forward.
All right, I'm going to show you what I marked as State's Exhibit 46. What is this item?
It is a brown Michael's Kors purse.
Okay. Is that, in fact, something that you found in the house?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you find that?
It was on the chair that was basically pulled out of that little desk area right between basically the garage entrance and the laundry room.
Do we see that purse here in State's Exhibit 6, which is being published right now?
Yes.
Okay, and is it in the same or similar condition as it was when it was discovered that day?
Yes.
I move to admit State's Exhibit 47.
46.
Mm-hmm. 46.
Any objection to 46?
No objection.
Admitted.
Mr. Burnett, if you could open up that purse for me. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me give you some gloves. Is there a wallet in that purse?
Yes, there is.
And can you remove it, please? And open it up? Are there financial documents in that wallet?
There appear to be several receipts and other financial documents, yes.
And what about a driver's license?
Yes, there is.
And whose driver's license is that?
The driver's license of Shirley Merritt.
Okay. And what about credit cards? Are there any in there?
Yes, there are.
And looking in there, do you see any checks?
Not that I can see off of just looking through here. Yes, okay, yep, there are checks in here.
Are there blank checks in there?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And what about any other financial documents in that purse?
Yes, there are several financial documents.
Okay. Is there a checkbook in the purse?
Yes. Yes, there is.
Okay. And what is the name on the checks in that checkbook?
The names on the checks are Shirley Merritt.
All right, you can put that back inside. Thank you. All right. Did you process the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you Stacey's exhibit 617. What are we looking at in this photograph?
So, in State's Exhibit 17, this is a overall photograph just showing the area of the dining room. From this perspective, the kitchen would have been right behind me, but it shows the dining room as well as the stairs leading up to the upper floor.
Was the table set like that when you responded to the crime scene? And if you were to look at State's Exhibit 18, that shows is a better photograph.
Yes, it was set just like that.
Can you describe what you found in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, immediately we noticed on the island of the kitchen, there were several documents, basically like a birth certificate, among other documents with the name Richard Merritt, I believe. And on the kitchen counter, there was a knife block that had been that had two slots where two missing knives were from that knife block. And basically, just in the kitchen overall, there were pots and pans that were in the middle of creating or cooking a meal. Basically, one was filled with pasta, another was filled with sauce. There was a salad bowl, so it was in the middle of basically preparing a meal.
And we'll get to that in a moment. But right now, right in the middle of the kitchen island, kind of to the left of the green cup, there is a placard with a 1 on it. First of all, what is that placard?
So the placard that labels evidence number 1, those are the documents that I mentioned before, where basically just like a birth certificate, among other documents, to Richard Merritt.
All right, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 47. What is this item?
That is the... Can I hold it?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a legal document and contains basically from Virginia, and it contains the birth certificate of Richard Merritt.
Okay, is that in fact the item that is marked by Exhibit 1 in that photo, or I'm sorry, by the number 1 placard in the photograph that we're looking at the screen?
Yes, this is the same item.
And has it been altered in any way?
No.
All right, I move to admit State's Exhibit 47.
No objection.
State's Exhibit 21. and State's Exhibit 22. There's another one of those yellow placards with a 2 on it. What were you needing to mark there?
So the evidence placard number 2 was intended to mark the knife block.
It should show the jury State's Exhibit 23, which is a kind of closer image of that. If you look at that knife block, there appears to be a knife missing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was that knife found anywhere in the kitchen?
It was not anywhere in the kitchen, no.
What did you find regarding these pots and pans on the stove?
The pots and pans contained food items such as pasta, sauce.
Did that pasta appear to have been cooked?
It did appear to be cooked, yes.
Were the pots and pans, was the stove on when you arrived?
No, it was not.
Okay. And do you have any idea, did it look like that food had been there for a long time?
No, it was your speculation.
Your Honor, I think you can testify as to the quality of the food. I think that's common knowledge. Okay. Was the food cold?
It did appear to be cold, yes. There was no steam rising from it at all.
And what about what we see here in State's Exhibit 27? Were those items on the island in the kitchen?
Yes. On the island, on the opposite side, consisted of a basically salad bowl as well as a dish containing fruits.
And I misspoke. This is actually State's Exhibit 26. Did you process the area where the deceased was found?
Yes.
I'm going to go back to State's Exhibit 7, which has previously been tendered into evidence. Mr. Burnett, do you see on this exhibit where the deceased was found? If you'll give me a moment, I'll set it up so you can draw. Can you see where the deceased was found?
Yes. It was right here at the bottom of the stairs leading to the basement.
If we look at State's Exhibit 12, I'm going to have you kind of annotate where that is on this floor that's depicted in State's Exhibit 12.
In the front entrance to the home, leading from this door right here, there is, in that same area, you can go pretty close by to the staircase that leads down towards the basement.
Show you State's Exhibit 27. Is this how you found the body of Shirley Merritt?
Yes.
What can you describe what it appeared like to you? What you saw on Shirley Merritt's body?
So just upon initial examination, she was lying on the ground on her left side. It appeared that just looking at the back side, there was dried blood from what appeared to be a cut. And that's all I could initially tell without tampering with the body before the medical examiners arrived.
Did you ever touch Shirley Merritt's body?
No.
And what is your responsibility when a deceased person is found on a crime scene as a crime scene investigator?
So again, in crime scene investigations, we are primarily there to document the scene. So even when the decedent is found, we are still there for the documentation purposes of it.
And who is responsible for moving the body?
For moving the body, that would be the medical examiner's office and the medical examiner's investigators that arrived to the scene.
Okay, and in this case, did the medical examiner arrive on scene while you were there?
Yes, they did.
Did you take photos both before and after Ms. Merritt's body was removed?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 29. What is this photograph that we're looking at here?
This is a photograph that shows the same area that the decedent was lying in, and it was a photograph taken after she was removed from the scene.
Investigator Burnett, did you take photographs of Shirley Merritt's body after the medical examiner rolled her over?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm going to have you look at State's Exhibit 28. And does that show what was found when Shirley Merritt's body was turned over?
Yes.
And can you describe what her face looked like?
So in the right side of her face, there was a knife blade from a chef's knife protruding from it. On the left side of her face, there were basically blood tumors from where it appeared as if she sustained heavy trauma. And there were several areas of just blood and bruising all around her face.
You said that there was a knife blade protruding from her face. Did you collect that knife blade?
I did not collect the knife blade. To the best of my recollection, it was transported with the body to the medical examiner's office.
I'm going to move on to State's Exhibit 30. What is marked here as State's Exhibits 3 and 4? I'm sorry, as your plaque was number 3 and 4.
So evidence marker labeled number 3, labeled a black handle or a hilt to a knife. And evidence marker number 4 labeled a 35-pound dumbbell.
Can you say approximately how close to the deceased those were located?
I believe about 4 feet approximately.
Looking at State's Exhibit 31, did you collect that item?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 48. Can you please remove that item and take a look and tell the jury what it is?
This was that knife blade that was labeled as evidence marker number 3. Or sorry, not the knife blade, but the hilt to the knife. That was labeled evidence marker 3.
And is it in the same or similar condition as it was when you collected it that day?
It appears to have been processed after I collected it.
What do you mean processed?
So from what I can tell, just by looking at it, it does look like super glue has been adhered to this knife hilt. That is a standard procedure to process for fingerprints.
Okay. Otherwise, does it appear to be in the same condition?
It otherwise would be in the same condition, yes.
Okay, and is it in the packaging that you sealed back on February 2nd, 2019?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I move to admit State's Exhibit 48.
Any objection? Admitted.
Did this item appear to be of a size that would match the blade protruding from Ms. Merritt's face?
It very well could match the blade to the hilt, yes.
And looking back at State's Exhibit 23, did it appear to be the same size and shape as if it had come out of this knife block?
The hilt was consistent as far as size and shape of coming from that knife block, yes.
Moving on to State's Exhibit 32. 32. What is this a photograph of?
State's Exhibit 32 represents a photograph of the 35-pound dumbbell that was labeled as evidence marker 4. You can tell on the left side of the photo, basically on the left to the numbers 35, there was suspected blood on that dumbbell.
I am going to show you State's Exhibit 50. Yes. You got it?
Yeah.
Mr. Burnett, could you remove that item from the box and show the jury what? Well, can you describe it first? Tell the jury what it is.
So this is the 35-pound dumbbell that you can see in the photo.
Is it in the same or a similar condition as it was when you collected it that day?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and is it in the packaging that you placed it in?
Yes, it is.
I move to admit State's Exhibit 50.
Objection.
50 or 49?
49.
Get my stuff all confused. Okay, 49.
Any objection to 49?
No.
Admitted.
Great. Can you just remove that and show the jury? Did you process the remainder of the basement?
Yes, I did.
Show the jury State's Exhibit 33. There are these French doors and windows in the back of this photograph. Would it have been possible to see Shirley Merritt's body through any of the windows in the house from where she was laying?
I don't believe so, no.
And you have in this photograph, kind of in front of these two baskets, a placard with the number 5 on it. What is that marking?
Evidence marker number 5 was labeling a indention in the carpet that it appeared as though the matching set to that 35-pound dumbbell, it basically appeared that the 35-pound dumbbell had been moved from that location.
Show you the jury State's Exhibit 34. And State's Exhibit 35. In this photograph, there is a second 35-pound dumbbell. Does that appear to have been a mate to the item that you just showed the jury, State's Exhibit 49?
It appears to have been, yes.
Were there any signs of struggle in the basement?
No signs of struggle that I could see, no.
What about in the stairwell where Shirley Merritt's body was laying?
Just aside from that area right directly where she was, no sign of a struggle.
Did you process, and was there any blood in the remainder of the basement or in that stairwell?
In the remainder of the basement, or that stairwell, aside from where she was, no blood.
Did you process the remainder of the house?
Yes.
What was the condition of the remainder of the house?
So the remainder of the house was more or less the same as I described it earlier. It was very well organized, lots of furniture. Every bedroom was well furnished. Everything was immaculately clean. The whole house basically looked very clean and organized.
I am going to scroll through State's Exhibits 36 through 46 so the jury can see. Was there any overturned furniture throughout the house?
There was not, no.
Was there any blood or suspected blood throughout the house?
No blood or suspected blood that I could see through the remainder of the house.
Did you see any valuables in the house?
Yes.
What valuables did you see?
Electronics, as far as TVs, furniture that was furnished in every room. There were dishes in a china cabinet. Several items that could be considered valuable were throughout the home.
And I see that there's several, if you look at these photographs, there are several shelves containing items. Did you notice any damage to any of the walls or shelves?
No damage to the walls or shelves of the home, no.
And throughout the home, were there any signs of a struggle or a fight?
Not that we could tell. There were no signs of a struggle or fight throughout the home.
Did you find any other weapons in the house other than the knife and the dumbbell?
No other weapons, no.
Okay. And what about cell phones? Did you find any?
There were no cell phones that we found in the house, no.
I have no further questions.
Mr. Queen, before we begin with cross, we're going to take a short recess. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a break for about 10 minutes. Mr. Barnett, you can step down, just don't discuss your testimony with anyone.
You're listening to the trial of Richard Merritt from the Hidden Killers podcast on the True Crime Today network. Press subscribe now and get ad-free episodes by upgrading to our premium experience through Apple Podcasts. More next.